see you resting. We're good? All right, so we're going to demonstrate some chair massage techniques today. And she's already positioned pretty good. Ear and her shoulder and her trochanter all look pretty well in line. So when I look at that, I want to make sure that her back isn't bowed out. If this is set up too low, sometimes they sit down and they try and force their head down in here. If you don't have this adjusted right, you get this big bowed up back, and that's not comfortable. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable. Her hand position looks good. I'm going to start at this end of the table. So I want to make sure that her hands are not way out like this, because some people will stick their arms like that, and sometimes when you're standing close, the hand gets in the way. So we want to make sure their hands are right up here on the edge so they don't get in the way. I'm going to start just by placing my hands on the top of her shoulders. Again, in a real session, you obviously wouldn't be explaining this to everybody, but for you guys, I am. So I'm going to place both hands on the top of her shoulders. But before I do that, when I have her set up in here, I'm going to let her know that. So I'm going to tell her, so I'm getting ready to place my hands on the top of your shoulders. And I'll place both hands right up here. The position isn't critical. However, I like to find the very top of the upper trapezius, and I'm going to start back here, and I'm also going to place it here. So this is called the resting touch, when I tell her I'm just going to place my hands, and I'm just going to let them sit there for a few seconds. The next step actually is going to be called intermittent compression. So there's two basic types of compression we use in massage. Intermittent, also sometimes called alternating compression, or static, sometimes called ischemic compression. So we're going to start with intermittent. So I'm going to get a comfortable position. I'm going to just lean my body weight onto my right hand and push her upper trapezius down toward the floor, toward her hips actually. And when at the end, I'm not going to hold it more than a second, then I'm just going to stop pressing. See how my hand automatically comes up? So press by leaning and let it come up. Press and come up. Now, one mistake I see students make is they'll press and then they'll bring their hand up like this. They'll do this. Don't do that, okay? You don't need to break contact. And I'm just demonstrating on one side. What I would actually do is press when this hand's as far as it can go, then just switch my weight to this side. Then switch my weight back to here. Switch my weight back to here. So I'll do this at least 5 or 6 times. I'm not trying to use pressure to hurt her. To be a safe touch. After 5 or 6 with each hand, I want to slide my hand anteriorly toward the front of her upper trapezius and repeat it. It's the exact same move. So, this is not uncomfortable for my wrist, although I have a little more hyperextension there. Like, all I got to do to change that is drop my elbow down here a little bit. See how my wrist angle changes? Up here, could be a little strain. Down here, I can do the same work. Just dropping my elbows. If this still hurts your wrist, as an alternative, you can use what's called a soft fist. Not a tight fist like that, but a soft fist. I'm just going to place this hand here. My finger's actually against the side of her neck. And do the same stroke, just lean in. See how my wrist is nice and straight? There's no ulnar deviation, no radial deviation, no flexion, and no hyperextension. And a lot of clients actually prefer this because it gives you nice firm pressure with little effort on the therapist's part. So this is intermittent compression. I don't usually do the heel of my hand compressions and the soft fist compressions. I pick one. The next step, I want to work on the sides of her neck. I want to compress the muscles together, and I'm going to do a friction. There's 3 basic types of friction you should know about in massage. One is called superficial warming friction. Obviously, it's superficial pressure, usually done very fast, and it's designed to bring blood and warm the tissues up. Again, it's superficial. So if I was using some of the strokes I teach, some people call it scrubbing. If I take my knuckles, the flat part of the middle phalanges here, and place them on her back, and rapidly do this movement, that's a superficial warming friction. I could do it with a soft fist, the heel of my hand. That's not what we're going to do. The opposite end of the scale would be Syriax friction, also sometimes called deep transverse friction or deep cross fiber friction. We're not going to do that. The third type of friction in massage we use is called deep friction. It's usually a broad-based, and it's not real specific, and it's not done for a long period of time in one area. That's what I'm going to use on the side of her neck. I'm going to do circular friction with either the tips, or I usually use the pads of my fingers, okay? So I know her transverse processes are roughly right there. So I want to be posterior to them. So I'm going to take two fingers, whichever two you want to use is fine, right at the angle of the neck, which is where the neck and the shoulder come together. So I'm going to place my fingers on the side of her neck, just posterior to those transverse processes. Squeeze, so I've got nice firm pressure, and don't let go of the squeeze, and do really small circular friction moves. Now I'm holding my index finger out of the way, hopefully so you can see that I'm using two fingers. Normally I would just relax it like this. Rest my thumb on her head. So I do about 8 or 10 little circles in that first spot. Then I remove my pressure, come superior just a little, press in again, and do more circles. So this again is a broad base circular friction. It is a type of deep friction. Go up again, squeeze. I'm trying to squeeze all these muscles from the back of the neck together. The pressure is lateral to medial from the side toward the center. And each time I go up a little bit, this is the last spot I'm going to be able to perform this move here, because I can feel her skull against the pad of my fingers already. So if I lift up, I'm already at the base of her skull. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and stop. We're going to take a little pause right now, and I'm going to reposition the camera. We're going to do a couple of shots where you can see it better from the back side.